Nick,
Charles.
what's going on?
Nothing much. What's going on, man?
Nothing much, just hanging out here for episode 2 of the Charles and Nick Roundtable.
Back at it again. Episode 2.
Episode 2. Going strong.
Roundtable.
Just imagine there's a round table over here.
Size doesn't matter.
Size doesn't matter.
Just a circle, big, small. It don't matter.
It does not matter. So, yeah, welcome back to the Charles and Nick Roundtable. For anybody who watched episode 1, thank you. We appreciate it. If you haven't checked out episode 1 yet, make sure to go back and check that out. And then come back to this episode. Or you can just continue watching this episode and go back to that one later.
Watch us.
Make sure to watch us. Yeah. So, in this episode, we are going to do a Q&A again. There were a few questions that we didn't get to in the last one, so we're going to make sure we get to those, and we gathered up a few extra questions from some of our followers, so we'll spend some time going over those as well. Before we get into that, why don't we give a little update on our own fitness journey? What's going on in Nick's life right now? What's happening?
Just started prep about a week ago. We're at 1,500 calories.
That's fun.
Yeah, it's big from since last season. We started at 1950 and then gradually went down throughout prep, but we're deep in the trenches starting off, and I think we're in a really good spot. I just got done crushing my legs, so I'm a little bit fatigued, but I'm ready to go, man. I have every day planned out, and it makes it so much easier ending the day and then getting into the next day. Just having a routine is so important, and I feel as though last prep I didn't really have that much of a routine. I was kind of going day by day until the end, but going into this prep with some form of routine has been making it really smooth transitioning to day. But other than that, same old. What about you, man? What's been going on with you?
So I am currently 3 months post contest season, and I'm actually doing a little mini cut. Now, some people may be thinking, yo, you just stopped cutting 3 months ago. Why are you doing this again? Well, my plan is to run it back one more time before I do a really long off season. So I'm going to be competing again in August and in the fall. So just to make sure that I'm keeping my body weight at bay, so that it doesn't get too high up, just running a little 3 to 4 week mini cut throughout this month, and then I'll get back to my off season. Technically, the mini cut is part of the off season. It's just a little detour, just to make sure my body fat doesn't get too high. And I'm very aware that with only having about a 7 or 8 month off season in total, that any changes in muscle mass at this point in my lifting journey are going to be very subtle. However, like I said, I just want to run it back one more time before I go into a lengthier off season. Going to have some changes in some of my poses, and I may try to push the conditioning a tad more. Just a tad more, maybe a half a pound to a pound more. Nothing crazy. So yeah, that's what's currently going on in my fitness journey.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I like how you said you want to run it back one more time before you have a long-awaited off season, because I feel the same way. I've only have been in a growth phase for about 6 months, and I feel like within that 6 months, we put on a good amount of size compared to our first time around. So I can't imagine, almost doubling, even probably tripling that time. So that just means, the numbers show that they were going up. So if we're doing this for almost double the amount of time, so numbers are going to go up times 2.
Maybe. We'll see.
I hope, that's the trend. So I hope that's the case. But yeah, man, we're in the trenches together, dude.
All right. Let's do it.
Let's do it, man.
All right. So I think it's about time to start off with these questions.
Q&A number 2.
So here we go. Question number 1. This is perfect for this time of the year, January. Okay, here's the first question. Every January, people flood the gym. By the first week of February, they give up. Why is that?
Why is that?
Why is that, Nick? What do you think?
I believe there's two sides of the spectrum, and It mainly starts with a loss of motivation. And like I said, there's two sides of the spectrum. When people approach the new year, their game plan is, I'm going to go to the gym, and that's it. So when you're doing just that for a month and you're not keeping a track of your lifts, you're not keeping track of your numbers, there's hardly going to be any consistency. So it could be pretty demotivating to see, like, am I, like, to have no idea if you're improving. So I feel like approaching this new journey that you're going to take on with no plan could easily cause a loss of motivation. And then the other side of the spectrum, there's a huge amount of overwhelmingness, meaning people think that their whole life has to completely change. I have to switch up my entire diet. I have to lift 5 times a week. I got to be in the gym 2 hours at a time. And my life is already busy as it is, right? And when you feel overwhelmed like that, you have a long day. What's the first thing that goes out the door? The gym.
The gym.
The
Yeah.
gym goes out the door. So I feel as though with those two sides of the spectrum, they both cause some form of unmotivation, like a demotivation. You're unmotivated. So my advice to this type of approach is to start off with something manageable. In terms of changing up your diet, just eat like normal and just get used to tracking, get used to that habit. And then as you get deeper into that, then you can start making those adjustments over time. Same thing with lifting. Start off with something manageable, 1 day a week, and build off that to 2 days a week, and then three days a week, 4 days a week. But create something manageable to where you could grow upon that, because that's essentially what happens. So just diving deep into it with no game plan or just overwhelming yourself, you're gonna explode. So
Yeah.
don't kill yourself in that aspect. So that's what I believe what happens in the beginning of February, that fall off.
Yeah, yeah, and it sounds like you're saying to emphasize setting realistic expectations. If you are a parent who works full time, maybe overtime, maybe you have multiple kids,
Yeah.
and they all do different after school activities, sports, you got to drive them places, then you got to be a parent when you go home, and you have all these responsibilities. If you think you're going to get into the gym, 5 to 7 days per week, okay, maybe for some people they can do that, but not everybody is able to do that. So you need to have realistic expectations for yourself. So if that means you're just getting into the gym 2 to 3 days per week, then so be it. It's better to do that consistently every single week rather than trying to do 5+ days per week.
Absolutely.
And then you give up by the time you get to week 3. You stop for a few months, and then you start that process all over again.
Yep.
So make sure you're setting realistic expectations. The other thing that comes to mind is motivation. You mentioned motivation, and it's definitely important to be motivated. But one of the things that you have to take into consideration, if you have a goal that you want to achieve, the reality is you are going to have to get it done whether you feel motivated or not.
Absolutely.
Because there is not a single person on the face of this earth, maybe not a single person in the universe or whatever, that is motivated 100% of the time.
No way.
That's just the reality of the situation.
Absolutely.
When I load up this T-bar row with a bunch of 45-pound plates, I don't always feel motivated to lift that shit up.
No way.
Right? But I have a goal that I want to achieve.
Absolutely.
So that means that I'm going to have to push through discomfort sometimes.
Absolutely.
So you don't want to rely entirely on motivation. Just understand that there are going to be times that you're going to be less motivated, and you are just going to have to push yourself a little bit those days. Throughout your entire journey, there are going to be plenty of ups, there are going to be plenty of downs. And in those down moments, just know that you have to just get through it. And after a down moment or multiple down moments, guess what comes after that? Some up moments.
Up moments.
Those up moments are coming. So just get through those down moments. Sometimes that may mean that, instead of going to the gym for an hour, maybe you just show up and do something for a half hour, right? So just show up, get through those down moments because up moments are coming.
Yep. It's better to do 1 day a week, 2 days a week than 0 days a week. So like you were saying, embrace the discomfort. Don't get comfortable. And if you're going to get comfortable, be comfortable in the uncomfortable. It's like embrace it. It's gonna suck. Some days you're gonna come in and you're just gonna be fired up. Some days you're gonna come in and you're gonna be an unlit flame.
Yeah.
And it's gonna take a lot to relight that flame. And that's where you need to embrace the discomfort. And that's where the workout's gonna be the most meaningful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point. And there are a lot of times where I'm just not motivated to do my workout, and I'm dreading it leading into it, but I just show up. And then once I get started, once I get an exercise in or 2 exercises in, I start to feel a little bit better, and that motivation comes back. Sometimes it doesn't, but you still got to get through the workout, or at least show up and do some of the workout, right? I would say throughout your fitness journey, just do your best to never completely turn that dial off. There are going to be times where you have to turn that dial down a little bit, and there are going to be times where you turn it up. Just try your best to not turn it completely off. That's where people tend to mess up.
Absolutely.
As they go off the rails for multiple weeks or multiple months at a time. Sometimes multiple years at a time.
Yeah.
Sometimes multiple decades at a time. So just don't turn that dial completely off. Just turn it down when life gets a little busier.
That's all.
That's
it, man. Just everything that you said. I feel like we really hit the nail on the head right there.
Yeah.
I'm ready. I got nothing else to say.
All right.
I think we can move on.
I think we answered that one pretty well.
That was pretty well.
All right. So on to question number 2. All right. What is the best way to calculate your calories so that you can be in a calorie deficit? What do you think, Nick?
There's many formulas that you can use. So, when calculating, when you're calculating those numbers, you need to use a little bit of math and like real world scenarios, right? For me, what I like to do is I take your current or goal body weight, depending on how much you weigh. So if you're a little bit overweight, I'll take your goal weight, but if you're kind of have like lean mass, I'll take your current body weight, and I'll multiply it by a certain integer. Now, that value isn't just random. It's your calories per pound based off of your total daily energy expenditure. Now, what makes up that number is your BMR, your basal metabolic rate.
Basal metabolic rate.
Basal metabolic rate, and that's basically like how many calories can your body burn in 24 hours by doing completely nothing. And then you have daily movement, you have your training and activity, and then the thermic effect of food, which will make up that number, either 14, 15, or 16. 14 being not as active, 15 being moderately active, and then 16 being mostly active. And I'll take your body weight, multiply that by 14, 15, or 16, depending on how active you are, and then I'll get your maintenance calories. And then depending on how aggressive you want to be in a deficit, I'll either subtract 300 to 500 from your maintenance calories, and then that's going to be the deficit that you're in. 300 isn't so aggressive. 500 is pretty aggressive if you're trying to burn fat fast. But there's multiple ways that you could calculate the best way to be in a calorie deficit. But how would you do that?
Yeah, so that's actually a very good method, the multiplication method, 13, 14, 15, 16, whatever. Another thing that you can do is just look up a TDEE calculator, Total Daily Energy Expenditure Calculator. You could just Google it. There's a million of them online, and it'll just ask you some questions about yourself, your height, your weight, your activity level, and so on. And then what that'll do is it'll give you an estimation of what your maintenance calories are. So if you want to maintain your body weight, here's the amount of calories that you need to eat. And if you want to be in a deficit, you want to eat less than that, right? And just like you said, it may be 300, it may be 500, it may be a little bit more if you can handle a little bit more of a deficit. It just depends on how aggressive you want to go. Now, excuse me, being a lot more aggressive, it may sound great in some ways because on paper, you would lose body fat faster.
Oh yeah.
However, in the real world, not many people can handle a really aggressive deficit.
Sure.
I'm talking like 500 plus. I think a lot of people can actually handle about 500, but more than that, when you start getting closer to that 750 or 1,000 mark, that's when it becomes pretty difficult to sustain for, at least for more than, a few days or a few weeks at a time. Excuse me. So, another thing. Now, in order to lose 1 pound of body fat, you need to be in a deficit of about 3,500 calories.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not an exact number. It could be a little bit less, it could be a little bit more, but let's just say on average about 3,500 calories. So here's what you can do. When you're first starting a cut, what you need to do is weigh yourself every morning. Weigh yourself in the morning before you eat and drink anything. Make sure you use the bathroom. Make sure you're weighing yourself with minimal clothing on. Mm-hmm. After 7 days, make sure you get an average, right? So add up the 7 weigh-ins and then divide it by 7. Basic math, super simple.
Super simple.
You're actually gonna do this for a month, right? On the 4th week, you're gonna do the same thing though. You're gonna weigh yourself every day, and you're gonna get an average for that week. Throughout this 1 month period or this 4 week period, you're going to be tracking your calories, right? So let's just say over the course of that 4 week period, your average body weight went down 4 pounds, right? That would mean on average, you lost 1 pound per week, right? And if we know that you need a deficit of 3,500 calories to lose 1 pound of body fat, then that would mean in a single day, you're in a deficit of 500 calories, at least on average.
Yeah,
right?
that makes sense.
3,500 divided by 7 days in a week
Yep.
is 500. So that's how you would know if you are truly in a deficit and if you want to get a good idea of what your maintenance calories truly are, at least at your current activity level. So, yeah. Yeah.
Many ways to do it. It just depends on how you approach it. If you want to be, if you want to have it be simple and accurate, or if you want to make sure you're getting like the exact number and just really dotting all your I's and crossing all your T's, then you can go down that route.
Yeah.
It's really just preference.
Yeah, totally, absolutely.
Definitely. There's no wrong way.
Right.
They're all really great ways to calculate the amount of calories you need to be in a deficit. There's no wrong way. So I feel like it just depends on how you yourself want to approach it.
Totally. Yeah, preference, and regardless of the method you go about, you need to be consistent and you need to do some tracking.
Absolutely. That's all those methods combined, they all lead down the same road, and it's just being consistent and tracking.
Yep, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Anything else you have to say about that one?
Buy a food scale.
Buy a food scale. Yeah, we talk about that a lot.
Oh, yeah.
We talk about the food scale.
Buy a food scale and don't eat peanut butter.
Eat it in moderation. Just track it. All right.
That's great.
We ready to move on to question number 3? Mark's putting his thumbs down.
Putting his thumbs down.
Yeah. All right.
It's a nice shirt you're wearing over there, Mark.
He's wearing a Team Aracy shirt.
I know that guy.
It's a pretty good team. All right. Let's see. Let's talk about some training.
Ooh, I like training.
We like training. That's one of our favorite things to do.
I like to train.
All right. So, how many exercises should I hit per muscle group on an upper or a lower day?
Upper or lower?
Yeah. We can focus on one of them. How many exercises should you hit on an upper day?
So
Per muscle group, I'm sorry. How many exercises per muscle group should I hit on an upper day?
so back, chest. So for an upper day, back, chest, and shoulders, minimum of 2, maximum probably 3, maybe 4. So if like for a back, for instance, if you're doing 2, obviously make sure you're doing a vertical pull or horizontal row. If you're doing like 3 or 4, you can flip flop between the two. For chest, same thing, same thing. Two, a minimum of 2, 3 to 4 at most. Doing some type of press or some fly. For shoulders, minimum of 2, at most 3 if you're doing some type of like lateral or rear delts. And for lower, for quads and hamstrings, the same thing. I would do at minimum of 2, at most 3. And then for glutes and hamstrings, I would, depending on obviously the gender, because females are going to primarily focus on glutes a lot compared to men. But I would probably do at least 1 to 2 for glutes and calves, but also take into consideration for both upper and lower that compound lifts are going to spread tension across multiple muscles. So don't overdo isolation work. But yeah, I would probably do for like major muscle groups, back, shoulders, and chest, 2 to 3, I would say.
So if you're doing, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. So
You're
so
good.
you said something about like even 3 to 4. Now you're thinking weekly, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So this one was more so asking about, I guess, a single day, but most likely if you're doing an upper workout, you're probably doing it twice per week. So just to clarify any confusion, you probably don't want to be doing 4 chest exercises in a single upper session.
Oh, absolutely
but
not.
but across 2, so you're thinking weekly. That's a good, okay, good. That's a
So
good way to think. That's realistic to what people do in the real world.
I was thinking, so like someone that goes to the gym 4 days a week. I was approaching it as if, like, for example, they were doing like an upper lower split.
Gotcha.
Or even if someone goes 3 days a week and does like an upper lower full body,
Yeah.
you can take that last upper lower split from like a 4 day and combine it into your lower, so you're basically hitting the same amount of muscle groups all around compared to if you were doing like an upper lower split.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I would do. Do you have any input or?
Yeah, so assuming somebody's doing some sort of split where it's like upper lower, or even upper lower and then full body, definitely at least for a minimum dose, you want to do at least 1 exercise, right, per muscle. And then, from there it really just depends on the individual. So, what are your priorities, right? So, the muscles that are the highest on your priority list, you may want to do an extra exercise or 2 for those. So, for example, for me, chest is a higher priority muscle. So, I do an extra exercise on my chest, or 2 extra exercises on my chest compared to other muscle groups, depending on which muscle group we're comparing it to. So yeah, it really just comes down to the individual, how your week is split up with your training split, what you want to prioritize. But definitely at least 1, right?
For sure.
Yeah, you probably
One's
don't wanna,
better than none.
yeah, you don't want to go down to 0 unless you really want something to shrink. Or if you're a beginner and you don't want to train your biceps directly, and rows and pull downs are enough of a stimulus for you to get a little something out of it. But if you're
Absolutely.
past that beginner stage, you're probably, not probably, you're definitely going to have to do at least 1 by and 1 try
Absolutely.
in an upper session, in a single upper session.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. That's a great way to approach it. I don't have anything else to say in terms of that.
Yeah, I think we covered that.
Yeah, that's pretty easy.
All right, let's move on to the next question. Let's see. All right, this is a good one. This one is related to bodybuilding.
I like
Okay.
bodybuilding.
So, how do you coach athletes to maintain their self-worth outside of stage placement? Now, you don't coach athletes yet. However, You are a bodybuilder.
I'm a coached athlete.
Yeah, you are a coached athlete. So, how do you maintain your self-worth outside of your stage placement?
Well, first of all, it's critical, and I mean critical, to follow the plan. Your coaches aren't just telling you. I mean, if you have a good coach, which I do, I know my coach knows what's best, so I'm going to follow, and no ifs, ands, or buts. So when that happens, and we lay out a strong foundation, you know, um, I'm patient with playing the long game. Like I'm sometimes I'm kind of glad I didn't win my first show, because it would have really truly inflated my ego, if I'm being completely honest. And then when I don't get the placement that I want, my ego is just gonna go down. That's why I'm glad I didn't really win my first show, because I got the experience and it truly made me humble. And with you, you told me that we laid out a very, very strong foundation, and now we just build off of that. And I think we're in an incredible spot because of that. So it's the things that I needed to work on are things that we can work on. It's not like I stepped on stage and you're just like, you're not made for this. You know what I mean? Like the things that made me fall short of my placings are things that I know I can work on, and I just need to keep pushing myself and get better and better and better, because I know I'm made for this sport, and I know I'm made to be on stage. So, and that's all due to your coaching and talking to me when I'm feeling low, and when I'm just all in my head. Like, you talk me out of it, and you make me see the bigger picture, because a lot of times it's very easy to be narrow-minded and focus on one small portion when there's a whole thing to be looked at. So, and that's where you're got outside of like nutrition and posing and training, like your just overall guidance and clearing my headspace really separates you from all the other coaches. So that's how I maintain my self-worth outside of stage placement.
I appreciate that.
My man.
Thank you.
Of course, dude.
You're the man.
You're the man.
All right. Yeah, so that's a good question. So, maintaining your self-worth outside of stage placement. So, what I want people to think about, if you're a competitor now, or if you plan on being a bodybuilding competitor, is I want you to think about how long a bodybuilding prep is. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit different from person to person, but let's just say 20 weeks, right? I think to place your entire self-worth on a single moment in time when you are given your placement at your competition is
Absolutely.
just missing out on the entire journey.
Oh, yeah.
Right? There's an entire 16, 20, 24 plus week period where you are putting yourself through moments of struggle and persevering.
Great point.
There's a bunch of discipline that goes along with this process.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that a lot of us have a means for self-improvement. And, for example, for people like us, that's bodybuilding.
Yep.
Right? Bodybuilding is how we go about self-improvement. Like I said, through discipline, through setting a standard, through pushing ourselves through tough times. Think about all of the work that you put in throughout that period, dealing with fatigue, dealing with hunger, having to regulate your emotions, and still having to complete all of your weekly cardio, no matter what. Still having to complete all of your training sessions, no matter what. Still having to complete all of your posing practice, no matter what. Like, there's growth that comes along with
Oh,
the
yeah.
journey. So just placing your entire self-worth on where you place on stage day, I think you're missing out on a lot if you're going that route, and it's probably going to be tough for you to stick with this long term. Now, obviously, we're competitive, so we're going to place some value on where we place in a show, of
sure.
course. But there's growth in this process.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, absolutely don't place your entire self-worth on fifth place or first place, wherever. Just go throughout the journey, enjoy the process, enjoy the growth, and not just physical growth, enjoy the mental growth that goes along with it. And I think you'll enjoy the journey much more and enjoy the process much more if you think about it that way.
That's why you're one of the best coaches, man. And like all because you didn't win the show doesn't mean you didn't win your prep. 'Cause,
Exactly.
like that's your journey, and if you did everything that you were supposed to do, what more could you ask? What more could you have done, right? Like you went through everything, you dotted all your I's and crossed all your T's. Like what more could you have done? Just because you didn't win your show doesn't mean you didn't win your prep, and you just
Right.
build off that.
Right.
That's
Right.
all.
And sometimes you show up to a competition and it's just somebody else's day.
That's all it
Sometimes it's
is.
just somebody else's day. And congrats to that person because they understand what it's like. They went through the same thing,
Yep.
right? So, go throughout your process and just enjoy it. And then if you don't place really high or if you don't win your show, guess what? You can go into your off season, improve, and then come back again and just try to come back better.
Absolutely.
Simply put.
That's why you're one of the best coaches, bro. That's.
I wouldn't say that yet, but that's what I want to be one day.
I mean, speaking from experience, I don't know, man. I'm just saying.
But yeah, I would say if for me personally, if I just placed my entire value on how I placed in my shows, this 2025 season probably wouldn't have happened, right? What happened this 2025 season, right? I competed in 4 shows. I won my AMBF Pro card. I won my first AMBF Pro show. I competed in 2 OCB shows, won my class in one, placed second in the other. Sounds great.
Amazing.
But what happened from 2019 to 2023, right? Not so great placings. I placed third in one. One of them I didn't even place in the top 5. I placed 7 out of 8 in another one. I think there were 10 or 12 guys in the competition. We were split up into 2 classes. My class had 5 guys. I finished 5th out of 5. So,
Yeah.
last place. And then the one that I did a few weeks after that, I think there may have been 15 guys. We're split up into 2 classes, and my class had 7. I placed 4th out of 7. So if I didn't grow in an appreciation for the journey and the self-improvement that comes along with that entire process, then I may have not done the 2025 season, right? So just focus on improving. Simply put, you may not place where you want to place in your first show or your second show, but just come back a little bit better.
That's all. And bodybuilding, like the judging is subjective too.
Yeah.
So like I wouldn't, like you were saying, I wouldn't place my whole value based off of subjective judging.
Totally.
Just like, what you did, the journey that you went on, and you just build off of it and just get better. There's no secret to it.
Yeah,
There's
build off of
no
it.
other secret.
Get better, and then at maybe one of these competitions, it'll be your day. So
Only one way to find out.
there's only one way to find out.
Just get better and improve.
Yep.
If you just hold on to like, I should have won, it should have been me. You're just gonna be like in Meet the Robinsons, like that like old guy, like the baseball kid. Like you don't want to be like that. It's okay. It's okay to not place what you want. It's totally fine. Obviously, it's not what you worked for, but the work that you put in. You did everything that you were supposed to do. What more could you have done? So just keep your head up, and keep going, because the journey doesn't end there. Don't let the journey end there. Especially if you feel as though you should have won, don't let the journey end there. You keep going and then eventually win, get the placing you want, and get better and better and better.
Exactly.
And that's all it is, man.
That's all it is.
And I learned all this from this guy here. That's it.
That's it.
And that guy over there.
That guy.
And that guy over there
camera.
behind the camera.
Behind the camera. It's not on him right now.
My
but
man.
Just know he exists.
He's there.
All right. Anything else you want to say about that, or shall we move on?
Let's move on, brother.
Let's move on. Let's see what we got here. Hopefully, it's a great question. All right. Let's see. So, should I eat 1 gram of protein per pound of my current body weight or my ideal body weight? Going into this question, assuming that the person wants to lose weight
Yes.
when they're talking about their ideal body weight. So what are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are if you're trying to lose weight, I would do your goal weight. I would do your goal weight unless you have some type of lean mass. I would do your current body weight. However, if you're slightly overweight, I would normally do your current goal weight because let's just say you're 250 pounds. You ain't eating 250 grams of protein like that's a lot.
Yeah.
So I would definitely do the goal weight that you're trying to achieve to determine how many grams of protein per pound you should do.
Yeah, that's probably the smarter route to go, unless you really have a preference to eat that high of an amount of protein.
a lot.
Speaking of somebody who may be overweight, let's just say we're talking about a male who's, 35 to 40% body fat. I mean, yeah, you could be 250, 300 plus pounds. You don't really need all that protein.
Oh, yeah.
So it's probably better to just go based off of your ideal body weight or your ideal body weight range, and that'll leave you with more calories that can go towards carbohydrates that you can use to fuel your performance.
Absolutely.
Or fats to help with hormone health. So like I said, unless you have a preference, you don't really need to go the route of having that high of an amount of protein.
Absolutely. Just eating all that protein, like it won't hurt you, but it's not going to provide like anything additional. Like you're not going to burn like fat way quicker if you ate 200 grams of protein versus if you had 160 grams of protein. So you're still going to lose roughly around the same amount of weight if you were to consume either. So
Yeah.
I would say definitely your goal weight.
Yeah, and having more protein, eating a high protein diet is definitely helpful. But there gets to be a point where if you just keep consuming more and more, it's not really gonna do
It's not going to really do much.
all that much for
Yeah.
you. Yeah, eat a moderate to high amount of protein, but it doesn't need to be aggressively high.
Absolutely.
Yeah, use those calories for something else.
Because your farts will be wicked.
Yeah.
They will
Yeah.
be wicked.
Right. We care about gut health in here, man.
Absolutely, right? Come on now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I got to say in terms of that question.
Yeah. Okay. So that's actually all the questions that we have. We went over 5 questions. A lot of really good questions. Some about training, some about nutrition, and that's it. That's it. This was a really good second episode.
Way better. I love it. I love this. I can't. I love when like the building up to having to film our episodes, man.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Every
great.
day we're like, can't wait.
Dude,
Can't wait.
episode 2 of the Roundtable.
I've been thinking about this all day.
Guess what's
honestly.
gonna happen after this? Episode
So
3.
Maybe you'll have a round table.
Maybe next time we'll have a round table. We'll see. I kind of like the invisible one right here. I like to use my imagination. So
Right. What if we got like a small table and then every episode it just got bigger and bigger and bigger?
Yeah.
So we just had this massive round table.
are you thinking of Ross Creations? You ever see that video?
No.
You know who I'm talking about?
Ross Creation.
Basically, he does all these funny pranks on people, but basically, what you just said made me think of that. So basically, what he did was he had a mailbox that would be outside of his house. Duh, right? The mailman would come by and put mail in his mailbox. And every day he put out a slightly smaller mailbox. And at first the mailman didn't notice it, but it got all the way to the point where the mailbox was this tiny.
He's like, how do I put this in there?
So So it's great because the mailman played along, and
Yeah.
he'd be putting like these, he'd be taking out these really tiny pieces of mail out
Yeah.
of the mailbox, and it was just great. He was going along with it. And then after that, after all that time of the mailboxes slowly getting smaller and smaller, he put out this giant mailbox with, and he left the ladder out for him to climb up the ladder and grab
At
the
least he
mail out
left
of
the
there.
ladder out.
Yeah.
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 No, the table slightly increasing reminded me of Scary Movie 3 when the cop's hat, like the brim of her hat, like, every time the camera would like go off of her and then go back on her, it would just get increasingly bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
So that's what that reminded me of. But I gotta check that out. That sounds hilarious.
Look it up. Look
Awesome.
it up. It's worth the watch.
Awesome, man.
All right, everybody. Well, that is it for episode 2 of the Charles and Nick Roundtable.
Roundtable.
You'll be able to watch this on Spotify or YouTube. You're obviously watching it right now. Leave a comment if you enjoy this and share it with somebody. Help somebody else out by sharing our podcast with them. We give out some pretty good information.
I think we have pretty informative information, right? That, people are asking these questions for a reason.
For a
right?
reason, yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, that concludes episode 2.
All right, everybody. We will see you next time.
Catch you on episode 3.